This is phase 4 of the probate process at Rahnema Law. So at this point in the probate process, we've determined whether there are creditors or not creditors. If there are creditors, then we need to make sure that they have been paid in full and that we have some documentation that their debt is considered satisfied. If there are any debts at all that have not been paid, we can't close the probate unless specific steps are taken. This video is meant to be a general overview, so I'm not going to get into those specific steps. It's just important for you to understand that all creditors are dealt with in one way or the other. And if they're paid, that's preferred. If they're not paid, then we need to have a discussion because there is a specific process. So once we've determined that all the assets that the decedent had have now been liquidated and all the proceeds are in the bank account, then we move forward into distributions. So distributions come in two forms. One, we have to follow a will. If there is a will and that was admitted to probate and the will says that person A gets this and person B gets this and person C gets the rest, that's what we have to do. If it's an intestate probate, meaning a probate without a will, then we have to follow intestate succession. By this point in the probate, you will have known who the beneficiaries or who the heirs are that are going to receive the assets in the probate estate. And so what we do is we structure the process to close either a little bit formally or really informally. So a little bit formally is us creating an agreement, a written document that pretty much spells out the timeline, all of the assets, all the creditors that were dealt with. It's essentially an accounting of the probate estate, and then it will state the proposed distributions of the probate estate assets. Once that's been reviewed and approved by all of the beneficiaries, they will sign it. Once it's signed, then we will have a discussion about writing a check or issuing a cashier's check or doing Zelle or wire transfer or some other electronic means of getting money to them. But essentially, let's assume that person A gets $10,000 and person B gets $20,000. That's it. That's all that's in the probate that's left after all the taxes and the personal representative fees and all the other court expenses and attorney's expenses. Person A gets the money. They have to sign a document stating, I have received my full distribution. I have been provided an accounting to show what I'm entitled to, and that I agree to that accounting, and that I'm bound by that accounting, and that I am releasing the personal representative from any wrongdoing, any liability, and agreeing that probate can be closed. And person B would do the same thing. We get both of those documents in, and then the personal representative has to fill out a closing statement. And that's a document that we provide after sending the personal representative two separate letters with instructions. And we go through that with a personal representative, and it essentially sums up all of their responsibilities from start to finish, almost like a checklist. Once they sign that document and get it notarized, then the original comes back to our office. We then file that with the court, and that will be the last document that is filed with the court, is the closing statement. The personal representative at that point will then receive one more document from our office, and that will be a letter that includes all of the originals that we may have, and it will include the receipts for distribution from those beneficiaries and also a copy of the closing statement that has been filed with the court. And the closure letter will simply say, we've started probate, we finished probate, the representation with Rahnema Law has ended. You shouldn't receive any further notices from the court or from anyone. And if you do, please let us know. But that document that Rahnema Law sends to you, the closure letter, with those conformed copies of the documents filed with the probate court, is the final document that you will receive from Rahnema Law. The only thing that may linger is if there is an outstanding balance owed to my law firm, which needs to be paid typically within 30 days. And so that wraps up phases 1, phases 2, 3, and 4. And if you have specific questions regarding any issues that come up in those phases, it's best to write me an email in numbered paragraph form. And so number 1 could be a specific issue. Number 2 would be a specific issue. So make sure it will help you compartmentalize and understand any questions that you may have and break them apart. And then when I respond to your email, I'll be able to use those numbers so that we can follow along with the question and the answer, almost like a discussion. But that email will be there for you to go back and review at any time from the start of the probate to the close of the probate.